Okay, it's going to pop up in a sec, so. All right. We are live. Oh, okay. You know what I need to do? Hold on. I've got a little bit of just a sec. I have to, there we go. Okay. Okay. I didn't know I had done muted because it was going to keep coming up, but here we are live. It is Saturday, April 12th, and I have Danielle and Henry. Do you guys prefer to be Danny and Hen?
That's perfect.
Hello, Danny.
Yes.
Okay. Danny and Hen. I have Danny and Hen Mims here. They are two amazing people with an amazing relationship, and I thought that they would be a great fit for one of my classes, and they also thought that they would love to come on, so it works out well. Danny and Hen have written a book called More Than Just Love Notes and Laughter, which of course fits right in with everything that I believe in, everything that I do. And I just want to say thanks and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you. This is two of the things that we love to do is love each other and cook. So it couldn't have been a better invite.
It is perfect. Thank you. And today, the recipes I chose are Greek dishes because you guys are planning a trip to Greece in the next couple of years, right?
We are. Silly little COVID caused our honeymoon because we got married in 2021 and it was supposed to be to Greece. And so we haven't given up hope. We put it on our vision board. And so we're hoping that maybe next year at our 5-year anniversary, we can head overseas and enjoy everything that Greece has to offer.
Amazing. I love that so much. So hopefully this will inspire you and get you guys a little bit excited. We're doing keftedes, which are Greek meatballs. We've got a traditional Greek salad and tzatziki to go with it. So yeah, so it's great. We're going to have some fun creating this. We're also going to talk a little bit about love and relationships. So you said you got married in 2021. When did you meet?
We met in 2018. And we were both at the point in our lives we were going through a divorce. This is our second marriage for both of us, and we have a beautifully blended family. 5 plus 1 adopted son. We have 5 children. We have a daughter, and the rest are boys in there. And then we have a beautiful granddaughter as well. And that was just a time in our lives where both of us weren't looking for love. We were just working on healing ourselves. And it just happened so organically that we met each other through our friends. So shout out to them because we owe them so much. And we met each other and it just kind of went from there. And it was the most beautiful of relationships that we could have ever imagined. And we love it.
Yeah.
That is the very best way to do it, right? When you're not looking is the best time to find just that right person. And that's amazing because I think destiny puts you two together, right? And sets you on a path together. So I'm going to ask you one question that's going to be a bit of our topic for discussion while we're creating this food, and nothing super heavy, but I just want to know, is there one thing in your relationship, which obviously is fantastic and super strong and supportive, but is there one thing that you would like to improve a little bit?
So for me, I tend to have an impatience for, like, she's always late. So things like those little things, I find myself having to bite my lip, but I don't feel like I should have to bite my lip, but I do. Yeah, I'm a little OCD in that regard.
Yes. So I'm getting better. I promise you I'm getting better. But so for me, something that we don't even discuss in our book or most people don't know, but Henry is, he's deaf. So it's not like when people say, my husband's deaf. No, he's really deaf. He really can't hear. So that is such a challenge to be able to communicate with somebody who reads lips. And so I've had to learn and work through that. It's fun. It's not really fun when you're having an argument. You just want to storm away and walk away because he can't hear what I'm saying. So it's not really effective. So it kind of forces you to really have face-to-face conversations, to kind of go through your disappointing discussions, and then also the celebrating the successes timed. You have to do it face-to-face, and you have to be intentional about it, because he does have a disadvantage where he has to read your lips to be able to communicate. And if I don't respect that boundary for him or his needs, then we're going to go nowhere.
And those are such strong points, but it's a silver lining thing, isn't it? Because obviously it would be better if the ease of communication, was improved. But isn't that great that you are sort of forced to be in front of them and talk to them, and you can't storm away? And even though counting to 10 sometimes is a good thing, not walking away from it and dealing with it as it comes up is also really a powerful way to problem solve and fix conflict when it comes up.
Absolutely. And I don't think that was something that either one of us had done previously. It was just walking away, doing that, giving the cold shoulder was something that would happen, and it wasn't effective, clearly. But we were able to learn that in this relationship, we're gonna either do what's right and fix it, or you should just end it. There's no point in just continuing on. So we've had to work through pushing back any triggers or anything from past relationships, and reminding each other that we are not the past, we are the future. And if we want this future to be successful, we have to work through these things.
I love that. And, a very, very wise woman told me once, not too long ago, she said, one of the things that she tries to remember when she's with her partner and they're having some sort of conflict is she'll ask herself, what would love do? Right. Wow. And so it's responding through love. And I mean, if we keep that in mind, you look at your partner and you say, is this a deal breaker? No. Well, then let's fix it. Right. And I think a lot of people, even if it's not a deal breaker, they don't give the urgency to fix it or correct it. I have a cat who's thinking he's going to pop up and be part of this. Sorry.
The dog's walking around in her little tippy toes, and you can hear it in the background. So apologies.
No, that's great. But anyways, it's you approach it with love, and you look at your partner and say, this is something I want to fix, and I don't want it to be that grain of sand that gets irritated. So I think that's wonderful that you guys do that. It's so beautiful for whatever reason behind it, it's so beautiful to take those steps to problem solve and deal with it right away instead of letting it fester. So that's great. All right, let's start cooking. Are you ready to cook?
All right. Yes, I'm very ready to cook.
Okay, so we're going to start with the meatballs. It's all sort of an order of operations thing. Herman? Sorry. That may happen again, except now that he knows the water's there. Okay, so we're going to start with the meatballs. I want to tell you all, Danny and Hen, and anybody who's watching, I very much believe in cooking intuitively. And I know that there are lots of people out there who have to follow a recipe, and I get that. I just want to encourage you to be a little intentional and think about what you want in a recipe. So if you're cooking something like we're about to do this, we're going to put red onion in it. If you don't like onions, you really don't like onions, then either cut the amount way back or don't put any at all. But you can tailor recipes to make it right for you. And what I'm leading up to is telling you that I never follow recipes. So
thank goodness, because I don't either.
I will talk about the recipe, and if you say, how do I make this? I can put it into numbers, but when I'm doing it, I never follow a recipe. So I have a mixing bowl here I'm using ground lamb today because I'm a big lamb person. The recipe calls for 1/2 pound of ground beef, 1/4 pound of ground pork, You can do any combination of those. You can do all lamb, you can do all beef, you can do all pork. And although I love ground pork, I still wouldn't recommend that as my first choice because it doesn't have the same richness of flavor that beef and lamb do. So for me, I'm using pure lamb, and it calls for a quarter of a red onion. So when I say a quarter, I mean, well, I'm just going to use a piece of a red onion, and grated or finely chopped. I am choosing finely chopped for today's event. Red onions are nice because they're a little more mild, right? And if you get a chunk of a red onion when you're eating it, then it still, doesn't and surprise you. That's all you can taste. So it's really nice to do the red onion for this. So all I did was I cut sort of the side off of the red onion, and I left, if you can see, here's the center. I did it to the right of the center so that I left all the core and all those pieces there. See, so I cut it off to the side a bit. So then all I have here is a pure piece of onion. It's got no core. It's got nothing. It's just ready to chop up and make beautiful. So I'm going to put it with the cut side down, and I'm going to cut it into very thin slices, as thin as I can get them. And then when I get to the sort of the end, I just flip it over, and then I can continue cutting. And if there's something that you can't see very well or you have a question on, by all means, sing out and I will answer it for you. Then I'm going to straighten these back into a little pile so that they're going perpendicular to where my knife is now. And again, as if I was slicing it, I'm just going to cut it in very, very thin bits. And that's how we're going to get the diced onion. Now, there's two other options for this. You can do it in a food processor or a mini chopper or something like that, and that takes all the guesswork out of it, especially for anybody who doesn't feel super confident with their knife skills. Then a food processor to chop your onions is a great idea. The only reason I don't do it is because I'm too lazy to wash the food processor. And I have this funny thing. That I don't like using things because then they'll be dirty for if I want to use them another time, which makes no sense. It's like,
I don't want those kids. He'll use plastic everything because he doesn't want to have to wash it. So if it can't go in a plastic bowl or plate or anything, and he can't throw it out, he's not using it.
Well, there's a certain convenience to that, right? So we've got our little pile of diced onion. Might be a little more. I'm going to put some in a bowl because I think it's a little bit more than I would like to put in there. So ideally what you want is when it's all chopped up, you want maybe a quarter of a cup. You want it to be a quarter of a cup of diced onion, not much more than that. The recipe I'm doing is for 2 people because it's just us. And this is a couples cooking class, but obviously you can increase it. You can use it as an appetizer, so then it goes further. You can really just play around with it. The amounts that I'm going to give you are really just loose amounts. The only ones that you want to be careful about is not putting too much cumin in it because it will really overpower it. And obviously not too much salt because then you've got, it's.
I love cumin, so.
And I don't. So that's why I'm like, I think we'll put the exact amount.
There you go. It's perfect. And it adds to the general flavor of things, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, especially with the salt, is because it's raw meat, so you can't taste it to see where you are. You want to err on the side of not enough salt.
Right.
And we're going to get lots of flavor from the mint and the oregano and the cumin. So if you don't have a ton of salt, you could absolutely leave salt out of this and they would still taste great. But you definitely don't want to go overboard on the salt because you can't taste it. And if you're really inspired and excited, you can heat a frying pan, cook a tiny little bit of the meat in the frying pan and taste it and then adjust the seasonings. I think it's just easier to not go overboard in the salt and then you know it's going to be good.
Well, we don't need.
Pardon me, sorry?
Salt. Then, we're going to have a hard time. That's right.
Yeah. So we tend to use less salt, if any, at all, and then, like you said, salt afterwards, because he's had heart issues from having open heart surgery just a couple of years ago. Actually, the year we
Right.
got married, and mine as well, passed with high blood pressure. So we're just going to be precautionary on that. So I love that.
So you can leave it
change.
out completely. So, I mean, there's certain things that you really do want to add your salt to. Like if you're cooking pasta, it makes a lot of difference if you put salt in water than if you don't. And most of it's going to get rinsed off. But for things like this, like I said, there's all sorts of other flavors in there. It's not the end of the world if you just left it out completely.
Right.
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to chop up the mint. So I've lined all my mint leaves up in a little pile like this. And they're all, because that just makes them easier to cut. And again, I'm going to cut them as fine as I can because we want it chopped up in the meatball mixture. To be honest, I don't love mint. I mean, I love mint in lots of ways, but I don't find that in a recipe like this, I'm going, oh, I wish there was more mint. Often I'm thinking, oh, I wish there was less mint. So really, you don't have to use a lot of it. But if you're using fresh, it's not going to overpower it anyways. It's just going to give it a nice flavor. And the Greek seasonings are, mint plays a big role in it. So we cut it up in the strips, and that's called a chiffonade when you just leave your herbs in a strip. And so after we cut the strips, we go perpendicular to the way we just cut them and chop them again, much the same as we did with the onion, and chop that up and I just scrape it into a little pile and just keep sort of chopping through the pile until you've got a nice finely chopped meat.
Also good.
So
It does.
I'm going to put that in the bowl with the meatballs. And then next we'll do the garlic. Some people have a garlic press and they like to use a garlic press. Some people like to chop it. I swing back and forth between the two. My son is a purist. He's like, no, Mom, I don't like the garlic press. I want to chop it. So whichever works. One thing I will say is,
Krista, we kind of got minced garlic.
I was just going to say, you must never, ever use garlic. And I'm sorry, that's partly my fault because I didn't specifically put that in the instructions. But obviously, we're committed to using it today, but please don't use garlic.
No more. We're going to be relieved of all minced garlic and water.
It's my fault.
But it is a convenience, but the flavor is just very different. And, I don't like bottled salad dressings, and that's one of the reasons is it's got that cured garlic flavor that I just really don't like. It's not the same as the fresh. It takes a little more effort, but it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take 20 minutes. It takes 2 minutes, right? Yes. And conversely, chopped minced ginger in a jar is fine. No problem with that. But with the garlic, so you get your handy dandy spoon out, and I would say put about a teaspoon. Oh, shoot.
Spoon.
Your butt just fell out. Okay. I had to put my earbuds in. That'll make sense in a few minutes when we start to cook. Because in order to make this kitchen work really well for doing cooking classes, I bought myself a little induction burner, which is right here, so that I can do everything on this counter. I have butcher block countertops, so this is the epicenter of my kitchen. So everything gets done here, but that means there's no overhead fans. So I'm going to turn fans on in a second. One fan will blow it to the stove, and then the stove will suck it up. So I had to have earbuds on so that I can hear things too. Okay, so we've got our garlic chopped up. Put that in. You can also do that in a food processor. If you happen to be taking the food processor route with your onions, drop the garlic clove in with that and it's perfect. Okay, we've got the garlic, the breadcrumbs, and I just use these because I happen to have them on hand. See, look, perfectly measured. What have I got there? 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. Anywhere between 0 and 1/4 cup is fine. 2 tablespoons is fine. Obviously, if you put a little more breadcrumbs in, it stretches it a little bit, right? So it's not a bad thing. Fresh parsley. I know I have it. Oh, here it is right here. So when I buy a bunch of parsley, it never gets entirely used. So I chop it up really fine, usually in the food processor, squeeze out all the liquid and put it in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. So I always have parsley, fresh parsley available.
Oh,
I did not know
that's
you
a
could
great
freeze it.
idea.
It's
Okay.
great. Put it in the food processor. And what I do is I put it on like a tea towel, which you're going to ruin, just full disclosure. Put it on tea towel, gather it up in a bundle, and then I run the tap water through it. And obviously the water comes out the bottom. And then I squeeze it within an inch of its life, and all this green watery liquid comes out, but it's virtually dry at that point. Then I put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer, and it lasts for years. But you always have some fresh parsley available at your fingertips. So.
Oh, we'll have to do that because I have a huge bag.
And well, yep, that will work perfectly then. So we've got the parsley in, the oregano. I'm going to put about a teaspoon of oregano in there. We're going to put half a teaspoon of the deadly cumin. Cumin has a very distinctive and a strong flavor. So, Danny, I get why you don't like it. And at the same time, Hannah, I get why you love it. So
Love it.
It does make a difference, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
having Mexican food, that cumin flavor, if you don't have it in there, you will notice it's not there. And cilantro, very, very similar with that as well, right?
I love cilantro. Definitely.
See, and Billy, my partner, does not. He can't stand cilantro in any way, shape, or form. And I tell him, I say, well, I'll make you salsa with no cilantro. And he goes, well, no, because it's important. And I'm like, it is. So I think he can learn to like it. But
I saw somewhere that DNA is what helps people decide whether they like cilantro or not.
I've heard people say
and I
that
didn't know that.
before. Yeah, I've heard people say that. So it's interesting. I wonder if it's true, if it's an actual fact or a wives' tale.
Right.
But I can see it because either you love or hate cilantro, and ne'er the twain shall meet. You rarely hear somebody say, oh, yeah, well, I've learned to like it, right? I didn't dislike it at first. I thought it was strange. It was a flavor I was unaccustomed to, but I wasn't opposed to it. So I guess I've always kind of liked it.
No.
All right. So we've got the salt and pepper, the parsley. We've got all the ingredients in here. The egg is the last ingredient. Eggs, again, are optional. You don't have to put an egg in it. I've got an extra large egg, so I'm only going to put the yolk in it. Just because I don't need much liquid there. And it will keep it together. But if you also make the balls, like you sort of squeeze them fairly compact when you're making them, then you won't need the eggs at all. So I'm going to put gloves on just because it makes it easier for me to go back and forth when I'm touching things and it doesn't get stuck under my nails.
Well, fun fact, I don't like to touch raw meat, so this is where Henry comes in because he gets to do it.
Woo-hoo! It's funny, when I was cooking all the time, when I was a chef in a restaurant,
I'm only taking it off now.
He's taking off his wedding ring. He had to do a disclaimer. I'm like, calm down. It's okay. Nobody will think that we're fighting.
We're just going to make sure it's back on there later.
That's right. He's taking
a ring check. All right, so mix it up really well. You don't have any little hidden pockets of garlic or mint or cumin, anything like that. And then we're going to form them into meatballs. So you can take, it doesn't matter how big the meatballs are. The smaller they are, the faster they cook. The bigger they are, the sort of more substantial, which is kind of fun too. But I'm going to take, basically what you'd find in the palm of your hand, maybe a golf ball sized amount.
Oh.
Roll it into a ball. Pardon?
You did a good job.
And then I like to make them sort of football shaped. It's the traditional shape of them. You can see eyeball shaped, maybe eye shaped.
Kind of football shaped. So
Yeah.
you kind of taper the ends.
Football shape. How do you make football? How do you make football shape?
You taper the ends.
Roll it into a ball.
Okay.
And then I just squeeze each end a little bit. From the middle, squeeze it. And then when I roll it across my hands, I put one finger on each end on the tapered part and roll it a couple more times so that I'm not pushing the middle. I'm really just tapering the edges of it.
Okay. All right, I'm a rolling.
You're a rolling. Okay.
Okay, so when I'm rolling it, am I trying to roll it tight? Or
Yes, you want to roll them as tight as you can.
Okay.
It's funny because you see in a lot of recipes it will say, don't roll them too tight. You want to loosely form them into a ball. I don't know why recipes say that, because that's just saying, please fall apart. And I have never had a problem. I've never had a problem with compact meatballs, and I just find they keep their shape nicely. And I find too that when you roll them between your hands, and feel free to wet your hands with water because then they won't stick as much. But when you roll them between your hands, it warms it up and softens the fat and helps it sort of bind together a little bit better too.
You're right. I never knew that. You put water in the hands and it doesn't stick so much.
It doesn't, because I just washed my hands.
Oh geez, I just lost my earbud.
We're learning so much today, Krista.
Well, I'm glad. It's all these little tiny things. You know, I've had people for years have said to me, asked me so many questions and specifically said, you know, I make this all the time and it doesn't taste as good as when you make it. Part of that, of course, is just not making it yourself, which is great. But part of it is that I have a real attention for detail when it comes to these things. And because of that, I find that reflects in the food that I make because I'm careful about it. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, and I will very clearly tell you when I'm doing things like this, there are things that don't matter and there are things that very much do matter, right? So if it's something that I say, please don't substitute, this makes a difference, then that's one thing. But there are things that I'll say, you know, it doesn't matter, you can use this. You can use a no-name brand of this or a lower cost version of that. But there are some things that are like, no, you have to use good quality.
Right.
So one of the big ones for me, I think you have to. One of the big things for me is cheese when you're making pasta. Parmigiano is never ever use that shelf-stable green Kraft stuff because it's terrible. I always have to use good quality Parmigiano because it just makes a huge difference in your recipe.
Right, right.
All right, so I've got a few made. I'm going to pull a cooking class trick, which is I just sort of step away and don't finish doing what I'm doing so that I can get started on other things and you guys can continue to roll while I talk.
We have finished. He is hand washing, so we are
excellent. Perfect. All right, so pardon me?
What did you say?
We're wearing gloves.
We're wearing gloves next time. Yes, agreed.
I'm not a glove person when I'm cooking. It's just with gooey stuff like that. But some people will always wear gloves and I don't like it because I like to feel what it is I'm cooking. So I've got my burner here. I'm going to put it on a fairly high temperature. You guys can hear me all right, right? Still?
Yep.
Because I've got the dual fan thing going. I've got my Wuzu here blowing the flavors over to the stove. So I've got a fan on each side of me. But that's why I've got my handy dandy little microphone with the fluffy thing on it, I think, is because it filters out those sounds.
You're high tech.
I know, right? And I said I was low tech, but I'm high tech. It's called Amazon. It's my favorite boutique.
Amazon.
Okay.
She'll send you the link.
That's also where you can find our book.
I know.
Laughter.
I just ordered it recently. It's tell me a little bit about the premise behind your book.
So when we got together, like you were talking about earlier, me being deaf and also our past are very different. We had to learn how to communicate while her communicating with a deaf person as well. So I read a lot of body language, and if what you're saying doesn't match what your body said, we've got a problem.
Right, 'cause
So
you
what
know.
I had to figure out was how to communicate with her to understand how her body language accentuated what she was saying rather than differed. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that book is kind of a he said, she said, and how we navigated through all the obstacles that got us to where we are now and the things that we left behind in our previous marriages.
That's fantastic. And, you know, like I said earlier, you guys, this is a gift to be able to communicate like this and to find creative ways, because you're not letting anything fall through the cracks, right? You could
Right.
say, well, you know, whatever. I guess I don't know what he meant, and she doesn't know what I meant, and whatever. But you're not letting that happen. You're taking the initiative to understand each other and to learn how you communicate. And that is so powerful, because
Yeah.
communication connection is huge when we're in a relationship, right?
Mhm.
So I
And
love
one
it.
of the biggest things for me was that for both of us, we wanted to set an example for our children. We have a lot of our wonderful children who eventually will be at that age where they're gonna be finding their forever partners, and we wanted them to understand and know that you don't have to go through multiple relationships or divorces, and that you can get that done and learn communication and how to support the other person and boundaries and all those kind of things the first time. You don't have to go through multiple failures. So, you know,
Exactly. And
part of our book.
I think this is why we, the three of us, connected so well, is because this is such an important theme for me with my clients, is the relationship you have is what you're teaching your children.
Yep.
So if your children see you unhappy and one of you is controlling, or you're fighting all the time or whatever, your kids grow up thinking that's okay, that's what relationships are about. And I always ask people to look very closely at their relationship and ask that question: would I want my child to have the same relationship when they're grown up? And if the answer is no, then you change it or you move on. But your kids pick up so much more than we think, and it's important to give them that example.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've started cooking the meatballs.
So I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
I have cooked in the past and stuff. So being that we're cooking on high heat, why did you not recommend olive oil? I mean, not olive oil, avocado.
Oh, avocado oil would be fine. I just don't. You have to be careful when you're cooking on a high heat, because some oil will degrade. The flavor will change, and it's not as good for you. It's actually bad for you if you're using an oil that's degrading while it's cooking. So obviously, a vegetable oil like a peanut oil or canola oil or something like that can withstand a very, very high temperature. Olive oil can withstand a high temperature, but only if it's a really good quality olive oil. But for instance, you really wouldn't deep fry in olive oil, partly because it's super expensive, but partly because it just can't withstand, its smoke point is so much lower than something like a canola oil, which has a much higher smoke point. So you can cook with avocado oil, but you want to keep it at a fairly low temperature, not something really high. And so for this, I'm using olive oil that I got in Italy, which I know is a really good quality and a fresh olive oil. And one of the ways you can tell is because you can see the date on it. And a really good quality olive oil will tell you its production date. So you don't want anything that's more than a year old, because if you think about it, olive oil is the juice from an olive, right? And if you take orange juice and stick it in the fridge for a year, probably not going to be as good as it was when you first got it. And olive oil is a little bit different, but it's still sort of a similar principle. So yeah, just have to make sure you're careful about having a fresh olive oil. if you're going to use it at a high smoke point. And also it makes a difference because the flavor of a fresh olive oil is like amazing. You know, you can feel it tingle on your tongue. You can get the different notes. It's almost like tasting wine. You can get different notes and different flavors. So a really good quality olive oil. If you have an olive oil tasting bar anywhere near you, I highly recommend going in and tasting different fresh olive oils and just seeing a difference that's light years ahead.
We live in Palm Bay, Florida. We're not as sophisticated palate-wise. But next time we go to Orlando, maybe, I don't know.
Where's Palm Bay? Is that up by the Panhandle?
No, this is further south. So we're about 3 hours north of Miami. So we're pretty down south. We're near the Cape Canaveral.
No,
we can see the rocket launcher.
I'm sorry, we know this. You're near Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh yes, because of your daughter.
Yeah, because she paddled there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, if she knows of any good places, she can let us know too, because we would love to. We love to try those kind of things.
I'm gonna ask her because she gave me some olive oil. See if I got no, it doesn't have a thing. She and her boyfriend bought me some olive oil, and I feel like it was in Florida, and they brought it back to me. But I will double check with them because her boyfriend loves to cook, and if there's a place here that has really good olive oil, I guarantee you he will have found it. So I'll ask them, and I'll let you know.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
So I put. Can you see that? Look at the smoke's going right over to the stove. That's such a good work in progress. So
that's a great little contraption.
She had the lid on her.
So I've browned them and I'm just sort of swirling them around. I'm going to put the lid back on, turn the temperature down to let them finish cooking while we move on to our next thing, which is going to be making our tzatziki.
And Krista, you said to put the lid on and then put it on low?
Yes. Once you've sort of browned them. And the other thing is, it's a lazy hack too, which I do this all the time, is you can put it on a rack on a cookie sheet in the oven at 375 for 20 minutes to half an hour. And it's easy, effortless, and it comes out just as nice.
Okay.
So, we're going to make the tzatziki, which is basically Greek yogurt with garlic and cucumber in it and some lemon juice. And it's a great dip. You can use it for anything. You can use it for, meatballs like this. You can use it for souvlaki. It's just it's great for vegetables if you want to do just the veggies and dip. So I highly recommend making a tzatziki on a regular basis and just keeping it on hand because it will stay in your fridge quite nicely for quite a few days. So we just have plain Greek yogurt. We've got a cucumber. I always buy the mini cucumbers just because they're snackable for me. And I'm going to use a microplane. Do you guys have a microplane?
Oh.
Hold on one second. We got everything prepared.
Perfect.
Put the bowl with the tzatziki. All right.
There you go. We're back.
So half a cup would be.
Well,
really?
So we have this handy dandy measuring cup that I got from Colt. And it's a cube, and on each side it has all the measuring things.
Perfect.
And I love it.
Okay, I got it. You can obviously tell who cooks more.
Hey, listen, cooking together is the best way to do it though, right? Look at how much fun you're having bonding and connecting and just talking without having an agenda to talk, right? You're learning to work as a team. You're sharing tasks and sort of guiding each other in a lot of ways. There's some things that, you'll be better at than the other person, vice versa. So it's really a great way to connect. So the cucumber, we're going to grate the cucumber. You can either use one of these, which is called a microplane, and it's super sharp and has very small holes.
Get one of those.
Or you can just use the fine side of a regular grater, like, you know, the triangle-y graters that everybody has.
So are you doing it fine? Or are you doing
I'm
it?
doing it fine. You want to do the cucumber, you want to grate it as fine as you can. Whatever grater you have, you're going to use the finest option.
Okay.
Because we want to stir it in and we don't want to have chunks if we can avoid them. Not chunks of finger either. And I like to leave the skin on with these because I just think it gives it really nice color and makes it more visually appealing. So you can see that my cucumber just sort of made a fine puree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. It's starting to look like Krista.
And basically with the tzatziki, all we're doing is combining the ingredients and stirring them together, and then they sit for a few minutes
Okay.
and they'll thicken up. And if you do this earlier in the day or the day before, it's great because then the flavors really mingle beautifully.
You said do it the day before and let it sit?
Yep, you can definitely do that. Just remember that the garlic will increase in intensity as you let it sit. So you don't want to put a ton of garlic in this if you're going to be letting it sit for a bit, because a little will go a long way in terms of the flavor.
Okay.
So I'm just chopping up the garlic the way I did a minute ago. I saw a tip, you know, you see these videos for life hacks, all sorts of funny cooking things. And I saw somebody chopped up garlic in an immersion blender with some saran wrap that I thought was kind of interesting, but sounded quite messy and sort of, I don't know, unfeasible. I also, like I said, you can use a garlic press, which I think for something like this, a garlic press is ideal because it really purees it and you won't have any chunks of garlic that, same as the onions, can become a surprise if it's a big chunk. So I've got it chopped up quite fine. I'm going to put it in the tzatziki. And then I'm going to squeeze.
The lemon, right?
Yep. And it just needs a squeeze of lemon. How much should I say for lemon juice? Yeah, 2 tablespoons. That's all you need. Doesn't need to be a ton of lemon juice. And I'm going to do it in my hand. And it's like I squeeze it in my hand and let it run out between my fingers. And that way I don't have to worry about seeds.
Okay.
Because seeds are not yummy.
I'll put a little salt in there because I'm sure it's
What
going
am I
to
putting?
be a little bit of salt. We'll do a little salt.
A little bit of salt?
Yeah, half a teaspoon of salt.
I didn't see any of the salt. I'm pouring white on white, so I hope
So you
we're gonna find out.
You put it in your hand.
Oh yeah. I didn't know it was supposed to be nothing.
You got your lemon juice and your garlic in, your grated cube.
What's it? I don't know. It's not yet. Probably
Okay.
done.
Perfect. All right. So you've got that. You can just
Yeah.
put that into, I just move it into a presentation dish so it looks prettier.
Presentation dish.
I think it'll have to do.
And I'm going to put that in the fridge to chill.
Henry doesn't like my dish, so
What's
I
wrong
think
with
it's
your
just
dish?
beautiful. This one's perfectly fine. Listen, I've watched a lot of
What's the Japanese thing
Hell's
of it?
Kitchen, so I'll clean the edges.
Remember the Japanese sauce thing we had?
I don't know. I can't find it. All right, we gotta put it in the fridge. All right. Okay.
This smells so good.
I know, doesn't it? It's the smells are wonderful with things like this, and that's all the
I just want to
seasonings.
eat it right now.
Yeah. Well, we're in the home stretch. We're just going to do the salad, which will take no time at all, and then we'll be ready to sample our fantastic meal.
I'm gonna move us over here because we have this cutting board here with all this stuff.
Perfect.
You're gonna do the cutting start,
I'm gonna do the what?
the cutting. You can cut on here.
I can do the salad.
So next we're going to do the Greek salad, and we're going to chop up the tomatoes. I chose to buy little ones. They're not quite grape tomatoes. They're a little bit bigger than that. But I just cut those into quarters.
Okay.
Makes it easy. And you can see the pieces are, you know, it's a little less than bite size. You want them a fairly good size, like the size of, I don't know what that's, the size of a grape, I guess, a small grape. You don't want them huge chunks.
It's the size of a small grape. Okay.
Have you ever had flavor bomb tomatoes?
I haven't. I've had flavor bomb apples, but not tomatoes.
Oh.
Wait.
The tomatoes are phenomenal. I think they're
Really?
flavored honey. And so they're
Okay.
the most deliciously sweet. Oh, they're so good. But
Interesting.
they're quite pricey. So it's like a special item. It's not for just your regular run of the mill salad.
Well, and that's, you know, that's the thing is we were talking about substituting and must haves and must not haves. And it depends on what you're putting it in, right? Like,
Right.
as we were talking about the olive oil, you can buy a Costco decent quality olive oil that will do you for lots of things. But let's say you've got beautiful bread and you want to dip it in olive oil and balsamic vinegar. You want the best olive oil you can get because you're tasting the olive oil. It's not being overpowered by garlic and onions and pepper or whatever, right? So if it's something that's one ingredient amongst a bunch of them and served fresh, you want something that's decent quality. If it's just one or two ingredients served fresh, you want the best quality. If it's something that's being cooked down, you can probably use a lower quality. So it's all just sort of playing around with it. The tomatoes I'm using are called savories. I've never even heard of them. Savories are like berry tomatoes, they say. But anyways, they are quite nice.
I think ours they're the whole ones, but they're like crimsons, I think.
Okay. When you're doing things, Greek salad like this, it's great if you can get a decent plum tomato because the plum tomatoes aren't as juicy. They won't let as much juice out. You get more pulp. But finding a good plum tomato is tricky. They're all hothouse. They've all been in the grocery store for about 4.5 months, and they just don't have a lot of flavor. So, so next we're going to cut the cucumbers up. We're going to cut the cucumbers in good sized chunks.
Slice.
Do you do slices or?
You can do slices. I do because I'm using the little ones. I'm doing a thick slice. If you're doing a whole cucumber, like an English cucumber, cut it in quarters. You don't have to take the seeds out. Cut it in quarters and then cut them, you know, 1/2 inch thick.
Okay.
You said 1/2 inch?
Mm-hmm.
I just get another cucumber for this. So yeah, because I'm using the little ones, I'm just cutting them in half, but I'm doing about 1/2 inch thick on these.
Okay.
You want more cucumbers than that?
What?
I have another cucumber. Do you want more?
I don't know. Is that the only cucumber we have?
No, I have more.
Oh, no. If it was a lonely cucumber, then we would have to, but it's not lonely.
Okay.
The ratio with cucumbers to tomatoes, I mean, roughly you want it sort of equal, but again, this is what I'm saying about intuitive and adapting to the way you want. If you prefer more cucumbers to tomatoes or vice versa, then you make it exactly how you want it, what tastes best for you.
Yeah, I love tomatoes.
You want more from it? You want more?
You like tomatoes less, so you want more cucumbers.
Okay.
Well, then
You
you can just
compromise
pick it out. Pick it out and share with each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then we're going to slice some onions really thin. I
So
like the
slice
red
the
onions because they look pretty, right?
Yes.
Got the thinly sliced onions. And I put green peppers in the recipe. I don't tend to put green peppers when I make Greek salad because it's not traditional, but a lot of people like it. So it's an absolute take it or leave it if you want in your Greek salad.
I like green peppers. They just don't like me.
There you go. So absolutely leave them out. It's like I said, they're not traditional. They don't really have a place here, but some people use them. If I'm making a Greek pasta salad, then I'll put green peppers in for color. I'll just put a little couple slices in there.
Am I chopping those onions or am I leaving them sliced?
Do you prefer the onions sliced or like chopped up?
I prefer them sliced.
Okay. I'm putting them in the bowl.
Yep. You can put everything in the bowl, the veggies as we cut it. I just put the olives in. The olives are from Italy too, the same place as the olive oil is. They're quite nice.
You got good ones. Good olives.
I bring all these treasures, but an olive's an olive in a lot of cases. I mean, I like these in the south of France and northern Italy. They make these olives that are just tiny, and they're just like a Kalamata olive, but they're small. And that's why I bring them back. But they taste great, but they taste just as good as a regular Kalamata olive. Another olive I really like is called the Castelvetrano. Have you ever had those?
No.
They're wonderful if you can find them. They're not super easy to find in Canada. They're easier in the States. It's called a Castelvetrano. They're as green can be. Not an olive green, but a brighter green.
I think I've seen them before. And are they bigger?
They are bigger. And
yes,
they call them the olives that olive haters like. And I love olives. So I love them. So they're just different, but they're really different. They don't have that briny flavor. They almost have a buttery flavor. They're so good. Apparently they're the perfect martini olive. I don't drink martinis, but I will believe that. But they're really, really a delightful olive.
Well, I don't drink anymore, but if you like Manhattan and you like things that have cherries in them, you need to get filthy cherries. So good.
Filthy cherries?
Filthy cherries.
Okay.
I can't drink anymore, but filthy cherries, yes.
They're good. There you go. Right, the ultimate cocktail.
How many do we put in this?
It's really to our liking. I mean, it says a handful, so you put in as many as you would like.
Okay. So we can put all of it in.
Okay, that's a little much.
Are you on the olives?
Yeah. We got ours and they're already like chopped up.
Oh, perfect.
And so he loves olives. I like them, but I don't want the whole jar in there.
Right, because they can overpower things.
Yes, and they can be a little salty too, I feel.
Yep.
And with the feta, I'd rather have more feta with the salt than olives.
Absolutely. So then we are moving on to the feta next, which is absolutely your choice how much feta you put in. I love feta.
The whole package. I love feta.
I was in Costco yesterday, buying my feta, and they had this humongous bucket, and Billy doesn't like feta. So I know that I'm going to be solely responsible. But the price of the bucket was not that much more than a small container from the grocery store. And I thought, I'm just going to put feta in everything for the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the feta, we've got all the vegetables, the olives, and the feta in the dish. Then we're going to make ourselves a little bit of dressing.
A little bit of what?
Dressing.
Am I doing the other half or no?
Okay, maybe not. That is a lot of fat.
You can always add more, but it's tricky to take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delish. Okay, let me get a little bowl for the dressing.
And we're cooking at home, so I don't have to. Oh, shit, not watching.
No, we're good.
No, that's the best part, right? Is
Yes,
the sampling
absolutely.
as you go.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
So I put the Dijon in the bowl first. I would call that a dollop of Dijon.
Oh,
The reason we're putting a dollop of Dijon in here is because the Dijon mustard will help the dressing emulsify and stay together.
Okay.
Because you know when you make an oil and vinegar dressing, it just separates instantly, right?
Mhm.
If you have Dijon vinegar in there, when you whisk it together, it will stay together.
oh, that's interesting
like
because I
that.
use yellow mustard when I do barbecue.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people, you can't really taste it in this because the flavors are the oregano, the olive oil and the vinegar.
Right.
But the Dijon mustard is purely there to form an emulsion and help the ingredients stay together. So I've just got olive
I got my
oil.
dollop.
2 tablespoons of oregano. Oh,
I'll just use this.
actually, I
Two
think
tablespoons.
is it tablespoons or teaspoons? Teaspoons. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, 2
Teaspoon,
teaspoons.
tablespoon. Yeah.
You're saying that, and I'm thinking, it seems like, that's a lot.
That is a
But
lot
who
of
knows, right?
oregano.
When I'm making it, that's a lot. But yeah, I think that's perfect. 2 teaspoons should just get it because oregano is an important part of this dressing. You really want it to be present and you want to taste it. But I think 2 tablespoons you'd be tasting, it'd be like,
it would be a little overpowering.
Yeah, and it would be a little grassy. So
Okay, so okay.
So mix those together, and then you'll pour your what's this called? Olive oil in.
Quarter cup.
Yep.
And 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. And 2 tablespoons.
That's a teaspoon?
Yeah.
No, what is it?
It's okay.
That's a tablespoon. There we go.
Need 2, so
What is this? 2
2 tablespoons.
I'm really liking this box.
I know. I had to spend a little bit more so that I could get free shipping. You know, it's kind of like girl math. And
Yep.
I needed like $6. And so I'm like, okay, what can I find at Kohl's online? Because I do not like to shop in stores. I like to pick up and go and not have
Yep.
to spend more money than I need to. So
You get sidetracked.
yes. Like today when I had to go get parsley and I came home with the whole shelving unit and he's like, I'm pretty sure that wasn't on the list, but I needed it. But yes, it was a cool little thing. I love it.
What did you order to make the $6?
So it's the measuring cup. So on
that's
this
your
side,
cube measuring cup. Yeah.
and it's just super cool. And then you're not messing up a whole bunch of dishes. It's one thing.
Yep. I like it.
Yes.
All right, so I put the red wine vinegar in.
Yep. And so whisk it all together. And it should be sort of a yellowy color, yellowy, greeny color, but it will stay together for when you're tossing it in your salad. It will keep it into. How's it looking?
I think that looks good.
This is what mine looks like.
Yep, that's perfect. Perfect, perfect.
Okay.
Yes, Krista said you're perfect. Oh, see, first natural.
Absolutely. Then we're just going to pour it over the salad. Give the salad a stir. Oh, I do so love Greek salad. And with the Greek salad, traditionally it's just the vegetables, no lettuce. But if you want to put it on lettuce or toss a little bit of lettuce in with it, you absolutely can. I always use romaine because it stays nice and crisp. I tend to more put it on a bed of lettuce than mix it in.
Okay.
But you can do that, and it stretches it a little bit, right? If you're gonna make it. But that's the finished result.
Love it. Looks so good. I'm so hungry. Can't wait to eat this. So I actually just had made this earlier this week because we just had some vegetables that we needed to use. And then I just threw in a can of garbanzo beans.
Nice.
And it was delicious. And so
when we go to Italy, there's a bunch of places that we like to stop for their famous apero, which is a cocktail at the end of the day. And one of the places we go when they bring you apero snacks, because in Italy they always bring you a free apero snack when you order a drink. One of the places they bring this amazing little salad that's garbanzo beans, tuna, lemon juice, olive oil, parsley, and a little bit of garlic. And it's such a great little snacky salad. I make it for lunch all the time. Oh, that looks amazing, guys.
oh, we can't wait. We want to go to not only Greece, but we want to go to Italy and all those places, Spain, and I just want to try all the foods.
There's so much to see there. It's just their love of life, their appreciation of life and food, and all those things in between that are wonderful. So here we are. We've got our salad, meatballs, and if you have pita, which I think you guys do, you can have it warm or cold. If you heat pita up, it gets crispy as soon as it cools off. So that's sort of the downside. But it's really nice. You can put the meatballs on the pita with some tzatziki and some lettuce and onions or tomatoes if you want, or you can just use it as a dip to eat beside it. But it's always nice to serve it with the pita and some fabulous Greek salad on the side. And I'll get the
Good.
with my spoon.
And there's the meatballs that love me. Dare I say they are lovely meatballs?
They are lovely meatballs. And there you have it.
Oh, you got to get the tzatziki.
I got this.
No, it's in the refrigerator. You got to get it.
On the fridge. I was going to say, I knew I made it. Oh, yeah. Let me see how you did your plate again. Oh, that is so cute. All right, we got to do that.
Put it on a little dish.
Yeah.
And you know, when you cook together, you're spending the time, like we said, working as a team, communicating. But the best part is at the end of it, you sit down. Oops, that was the fridge door open. You sit down and enjoy this meal that you've created together. And you know, even if it doesn't turn out perfectly, sometimes the things that don't turn out perfectly are the best memories, right? It's like, oh, remember when we made that meal together and this was terrible? And you know, you can laugh about it and you're savoring the experience, but you're using all your senses. You've got your sense of smell, and you were talking earlier about how everything smells so good, and you've got obviously the taste and the textures. You know, you're touching it, you're touching each other, a little squeeze here, a kiss there, you know, a little pat. But when you cook together in the kitchen, it's all the senses, and it's really makes it a beautiful experience.
Yes. We love to cook together. It's just after a busy week, it's nice to you don't always have to go out for a date. You can always have date time inside. And I prefer to stay at home. I feel like there's times that then you can even, you know, replicate a recipe that was from a first anniversary or something like that. He's going to get our last date night. We actually got these cards. I think we got them from Target, and they're called date night ideas, because sometimes you run out of ideas, and they're scratch offs. And so you scratch it off, and whatever it says, you have to do. So he picked the first one, and we laughed. You'll have to watch it. We have the video posted. We laughed so hard because it was painting, and you had to paint each other. You couldn't show each other, and you sat across and you painted each other. And this is what they ended up turning out like.
Okay, this is me.
I love it.
She painted me.
And yeah.
She didn't like mine.
Hold on. Trying to get this.
I was trying to paint a hair bun. It didn't work.
Well, but you know, it's if we're not artists, it's our interpretation, and it's just, you know, the thought goes into it, and you try and create it, and it sounds like so much fun. Like, what a great idea!
We did. We loved it.
Yeah,
just like we loved
this. Came out really well.
Oh, nobody can see ours. You gotta turn it.
Now we can tilt.
Okay.
Oh, it looks fantastic, guys.
Thank
it looks
you.
Absolutely delicious.
Oh wait. Oh, that's right. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, enjoy your meal.
Thank you so much, Krista. We appreciate this opportunity, and we just love the fact that we met you, and we're going to make a plan that hopefully our traveling plans will run into you in one of your places, either in Paris or in Italy, or maybe you'll join us in Greece. I don't know.
Oh, I would love that. And you know what? My daughter's in Melbourne every year, so I may show up at your doorstep someday.
I would love it. We would so love it. And you can come visit our kitchen. We can do a cooking class right here together. So
that would be so much fun. I love that.
Yes.
Welcome.
He's already eating.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Krista. Have a good rest of your day.
Well, thank you so much. It was so much fun cooking with you guys, and we'll definitely be in touch.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.